Hi there, welcome back to English Building Blocks. Today we're going to talk about the past simple and the past continuous. Now, how do you construct these? When do you use the past simple and the past continuous? What are consecutive actions? What are simultaneous actions? These are all the topics we're going to talk about in this video. And at the end of the video, there will also be some exercises, okay? Now, remember, if you like these videos, please subscribe, okay? And now, let's have a look at the past simple and the past continuous. Let's begin with the construction of the past simple. As you know, when using the past simple in an affirmative construction, then you do not use an auxiliary verb, you only use the principal verb. But you got to be careful because you need to remember if your principal verb is regular or irregular. Now, when your principal verb is a regular past simple, then it ends in ed. For example, finished. When your principal verb is irregular, however, then you have to have a look at that famous list of irregular verbs, and in the second column you'll find the past simple. For example, the verb to eat in the past simple is ate. Okay? Now, when using the past simple in negative or interrogative sentences, then you have to use the auxiliary verb to do in the past, which is did, followed by the principal verb in the infinitive form. Okay? For example, I didn't sleep well last night. So you see, we use the auxiliary verb to do in the past, and as this is a negative sentence, we say didn't, followed by the principal verb in the infinitive form sleep. I didn't sleep well last night. Okay, the same goes in interrogative. For example, did they make a lot of noise? Again, you see we use the auxiliary verb to do in the past, did, followed by that infinitive form as the principal verb. Okay, make. Did they make a lot of noise? On the other hand, when using the past continuous, then you have to use the auxiliary verb to be in the past, which is was or were, depending on the person, okay, followed by the principal verb in the gerund form, ending in ing, and you do so in affirmative, negative, and interrogative, okay? For example, I was listening to music. So you see we use the auxiliary verb to be in the past, was, followed by the principal verb in the gerund form, listening. I was listening to music. The same goes in negative. For example, you weren't paying attention. So in this case, again, we use the auxiliary verb to be in the past, but as it is negative, we use the contraction weren't, followed by the infinitive in the gerund form, paying. You weren't paying attention, okay? And we do exactly the same in an interrogative sentence. For example, was she playing tennis? Again, we use the auxiliary verb to be in the past, was, followed by that gerund playing, okay? And that's how you construct the past simple and past continuous correctly. Now, let's talk about when to use the past simple. Firstly, we can use the past simple to express a past situation, or also known as a finished action in the past, okay? For example, I finished work at 10 last night. So clearly this is a finished action, and that's why I use the past simple. I finished work at 10 last night. Another example. Tom had lunch at home yesterday. Again, this is a past finished action, and that's why I use the past simple. Tom had lunch at home yesterday. Okay? The second use of the past simple is to express a past frequency. Now you can use definite and indefinite adverbs of frequency to express that, and you can find a link up here if you want to find out more about that. Now, when using these past frequencies, we use a past simple. For example, I usually went to the park after school when I was a kid. So usually expresses a frequency, in this case in the past when I was a kid, and that's why we use the past simple. I usually went to the park after school. Okay, another example. I had English class once a week when I was a teenager. So again, we use a frequency, once a week. Again, it is in the past when I was a teenager, and that's why we use the past simple. I had English class once a week. Okay? And now the uses of the past continuous. Firstly, we use the past continuous to express past ongoing actions. Now, what are past ongoing actions? Well, basically, these are actions that had started but not finished at a particular time in the past. Okay? For example, we were studying for our maths exam yesterday afternoon. So we had already started our action. We had already started studying, but we had not finished yet. We kept studying. We continued our action afterwards, and that is a past ongoing action. So we use the past continuous. We were studying for our maths exam. Okay, another example. They were still playing tennis at 7 o'clock. So at 7 o'clock they had already started playing tennis, but they hadn't finished yet. They kept playing. They continued the action. So again, that is a past ongoing action, so we use the past continuous. They were still playing tennis at 7 o'clock. Okay. Secondly, it is also very common to use the past continuous when beginning to tell a story, and we do so to set the scene. What were we doing, who with, when or where, and then we start our story. For example, my friend and I were walking in the city center last night when suddenly, and then you tell your story, okay? But I have set the scene, okay? I have said what we were doing, who with, where and when, and we do so in the past continuous. My friend and I were walking in the city center last night. Okay, and those are the uses of the past continuous. One observation: when using a stative verb. Now, a stative verb, unlike a dynamic verb, is a verb that expresses a state. So it does not express an action, which means that you cannot use these stative verbs in the past continuous. For example, the verbs to depend or prefer or to owe are all stative verbs, and we can use them in the past simple. depended, preferred, or owed, but we cannot use them in the past continuous. Okay, so remember, these stative verbs are not to be used in the past continuous. And now let's talk about consecutive actions. So what are consecutive actions? Well, basically these are multiple or several actions you did one after the other, okay? And this means that you first had to finish the first action before you could begin the second action. And then you had to finish first the second action before you could begin the third action, and so on, okay? These are consecutive actions. For example, I went home, I had a shower, and I watched a film. So first I went home, and when that was finished, then I had a shower. And when that was finished, then I watched a film, okay? And these are consecutive actions. And as you can see, we use the past simple with all three actions. I went home, I had a shower, and I watched a film, okay? Now, one observation. When the subject of all these actions is the same subject, then you use the subject with the first action, yes, but possibly you can omit it with the other actions, as we understand the subject remains the same. Okay, for example, Alanis finished work, played some tennis with her friends, and had some drinks afterwards. So you see, again, these are consecutive actions. So first she finished work. When that was finished, she played some tennis. And when that was finished, she had some drinks. So we use the past simple with all three actions. But you can also notice that I have omitted the subject with the second and third action because we understand the subject remains the same. Okay, Alanis finished work, played some tennis with her friends, and had drinks afterwards. Okay, and these are consecutive actions. And now, before we start our exercises, let's talk about simultaneous actions. So what are simultaneous actions? Well, basically, these are two actions happening at the same time at a particular moment in the past, okay? However, there is one action that started before the other one. There is one action that started first in time, and that action will be conjugated in the past continuous. Then the second action, the action that started later, will be conjugated in the past simple. For example, the sun was still shining when I went to bed. So these two actions happened at the same time, so we get simultaneous actions. And obviously, the sun started shining before I went to bed. So that is our first action in time and therefore conjugated in the past continuous. The sun was still shining. The other action, me going to bed, started later and therefore is our second action in time and is conjugated in the past simple, when I went to bed. Okay? Another example. I was watching TV when you phoned me. Again, we have two actions that happened at the same time, so we get simultaneous actions, okay? And there is one action that started before the other one. I started watching TV before you phoned me. So that action is conjugated in the past continuous. The other action, you phoning me, happened or started later, so is conjugated in the past simple. And that's why we get the sentence, I was watching TV when you phoned me. Okay? Now, one observation. It is very common that that second action in time interrupted the first action in time. And you can see that in our second example. I was watching TV when you phoned me. So that second action, you phoning me, interrupted the first action, me watching TV. Okay? And these are simultaneous actions. So, as promised, let's do some exercises. So I will give you a sentence not conjugating the verb, and then you can think whether to use the past simple or the past continuous. If you want to, you can pause the video every time, okay? First example, he to owe a beautiful motorcycle when he was young. So now if you want to, you can pause the video. And the correct answer is he owed a beautiful motorcycle. Now, the verb to owe is a stative verb, so we cannot use the past continuous. We can only use the past simple, okay? Second example. We to have fun when suddenly our dad told us the bad news. Again, you can pause the video if you want to. And the correct answer is we were having fun when suddenly our dad told us the bad news. So in this case, we use the past continuous. We have here simultaneous actions, okay? And the action of having fun started first in time. So we need to use the past continuous. We were having fun, okay? Third example, how often he to go to evening classes. Again, you can pause the video. And the correct answer is, how often did he go to evening classes? So here we use the past simple because we express a frequency using the question word how often, okay? Another example, it to be cloudy, so we stayed at home. Again, you can pause the video. And the correct answer is, it was cloudy, so we stayed at home. So again, here we use the past simple, but in this case, because we're describing a past situation, and then you need to use the past simple, okay? Another example, Mark to sleep because he was at work at that moment. Again, if you want to, you can pause the video. And the correct answer is, Mark wasn't sleeping because he was at work at that moment. In this case, we use the past continuous because we're describing an ongoing action, an action that had started but not finished, and that's why we use the past continuous. Sixth example, we to drive along the road last week when suddenly a deer jumped in front of our car. Again, you can pause the video if you want to. And the correct answer is we were driving along the road last week. So here we use the past continuous in order to set the scene of a story. So remember, when starting a story, it is very common to use the past continuous to set the scene. Okay? And the last example, Jane, to finish work, she took her car and picked her children up. So again, if you want to, you can pause the video. And the correct answer is Jane finished work, took her car and picked her children up. So here we use the past simple because we have consecutive actions. Now remember, with these consecutive actions, all principal verbs are conjugated in the past simple. So we get Jane finished work, took her car and picked her children up. Okay, and that's it for today. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and if so, subscribe please. Click the notification bell, give a thumbs up, or just leave a comment down below. Okay, once again, thank you for watching. Till next time, bye bye.